it's pretty lonely. It feels really hard sometimes to see all this potential and to read those descriptions and then to see how you actually are. Kind of likes to feel marginalized or kind of likes to feel alien. I think maybe we come off more confident because of our TE that we're extroverting. Hi everybody, I'm Alexis and I help introverts take risks in business, especially INTJs, because that's my personality type and I feel like I'm on the journey of doing that, and so I want to help people do the same. In this video I want to talk about what it's really like being an INTJ, and it's kind of more of a chilled out video, and I basically just talk about what it's like to see all these amazing descriptions of INTJs and then how it kind of creates imposter syndrome, and then what I've done to get over that. So it's kind of chilled out. It's more of my raw, honest thoughts, not really very scripted. My hope is that by the end of this video you kind of feel a little bit more understood, and then you have some tips and some tools for how you can help other people understand you better as well. So I upload 3 times a week, so if you're interested in concepts about Myers Briggs and cognitive functions, or how to succeed in business, or how to be more of a risk taker, then go ahead and subscribe. I really appreciate it. So I want to go through the 16 personalities website and kind of give my thoughts on it, because it's the best on the website, obviously. But it's the one everybody knows, so that's what we're doing. It can be lonely at the top, being one of the rarest personality types and being among the most capable people. Architects know this all too well. See, even from right there, you can see how kind of this narcissism gets developed, because they're lonely at the top, rarest, most capable. And I can definitely attest to the loneliness and the feeling misunderstood, but this isn't really helping. They make up just 2% of the population, and women with this personality type are especially rare, forming only 0.8%. It can be difficult for architects to find people who can keep up with their non-stop analysis of things. People with this personality type are imaginative yet decisive, ambitious yet like their privacy, curious about everything but remain focused. And I think that is one of the reasons why we're so lonely, is it really is difficult to find people that meet our expectations, or that will talk about things that we want to talk about, or analyze things that we want to analyze, or really bring us new ideas. But I do really like this part where it says imaginative yet decisive, because I feel like that really keys in on NI and TE. They talk about curious about everything but remain focused, and I feel like that kind of captures us really well, kind of that curiosity and imagination. Architects accept and work with inconsistencies that make perfect sense to them, at least from a purely rational standpoint. For example, architects can be both the most positive dreamers and the bitterest pessimists at the same time. On the positive side, these personalities believe nothing is impossible with enough effort, intellect, and thought. On the negative side, they may also believe that people are usually too lazy, unimaginative, or selfish to reach hard goals, but this idea won't put them off chasing their own. This is one thing I feel like I really like about NIs. I feel like we have the ability to see more gray area than some people do. We do have FI, which that's where we can get really positive dreamers and bitterest of cynics. FI can be very, very black and white, seeing the ideals. But I do like that it kind of brings up the gray area, and that we can hold inconsistencies. I think we have more ability to hold cognitive dissonance than a lot of other personalities. But one thing that I have been working on is working on my TE, and so that sentence where they talk about nothing's impossible with enough effort, intellect, and thought. And I think I used to feel like it was just intellect and thought that you were born with, but that effort piece I think is really key as I'm developing TE, to realize that if people would just work hard and put in effort, they could achieve big things, and that's something I'm trying to implement in my life. They are fine on their own, and reaching out is often optional. That's one thing I feel like I have a really hard time initiating. When I think of all the people that I've hung out with, I never have initiated those, and kind of the bad thing about that is you're always waiting for people to come to you, waiting for people to invite you places. And I think I just started with TE saying, you know what, I want to get the ball rolling, and I want to initiate more and be a more well-rounded person, especially when it comes to people. The strategic style isn't meant to suggest that architects act coldly and without conscience. We have strong conscience. That FI literally drives everything. I know a lot of INTJs that are into philosophy, especially morals. That FI really drives that. Architects are self-confident in the skills and ideas they focus on. Using their insights and logic, they push innovation through by sheer willpower. This is one thing where I think maybe we come off more confident because of our TE that we're extroverting, but inside, the FI, and then we have this NI, which is a very uncommon cognitive function to have first. I don't feel as confident, I think, as sometimes these descriptions paint us to be. Architect personalities dislike rules, restrictions, and traditions. Hate SJs. Architects may even see many social practices as downright stupid. Yeah, for sure. So this whole thing makes us seem pretty great, but I do want to talk about what it actually feels like to be an INTJ. This is at my best. At my best, these are the things that I'm doing and the actions I'm taking. I think one thing that a lot of INTJs really feel is that it's pretty lonely. It's really hard to have FE so low down and not feel like we're an outsider a lot of the time. I think we always feel kind of alien, or like we don't quite belong. And that's a really, really hard thing. It's a really hard thing to feel. You know, do you ever feel like that? Like it feels really hard sometimes to see all this potential and to read those descriptions and then to see how you actually are. And I do have a video on some INTJ emotions, so if you want to look more into that, there's that as well. But I think a lot of times we also feel like really misunderstood. You know, it feels like if there was a spectrum of someone understands us to someone misunderstands us. I feel like no one understands us besides maybe people really close to us. And then at best, people don't understand us. And then at worst, they misunderstand us. And so I think we just feel misunderstood a lot of the time. And I think one of the reasons for that is it feels like we extrovert maybe our worst qualities. Like I'm really proud of NI, and that's one of my favorite things about being an INTJ. And I also really like FI, but that's not what we extrovert. Those are both introverted functions. And we extrovert our TE, and so I think we come off really judgy and rude, and like we're set fast on things in our way or the highway. And so I think it's easy probably for people to misunderstand us because we're extroverting TE. And so I feel like people know us as these introverts that have TE. That's kind of how people would maybe describe being on personality terms. But honestly, being an INTJ feels like more than that. It feels like more than being an introvert that has TE. Like I feel very, very open-minded. Not that anyone would ever really get to see that because all they see is TE and the decidedness that I show. But you know, we are a lot more open-minded than people give us credit for. And I think it's that TE that makes us seem like a robot. And when you see those stereotypes, I think that's what makes us seem like that. Every now and then people close to us get to see the SE though, so that's it's a treat for the people closest to us. And yeah, and I think maybe all the personality types to some degree, but I know especially INTJs, I think we deal with imposter syndrome. I mean, when you read those descriptions and then you look at what types make the most money, and then with your NI, you see your potential. So, you know, you combine all these descriptions you see with, you know, the potential of yourself that you see in your mind, and then you see real life and you see that it's not actualized. That can be really hard, and that can feel really, I don't know, it makes you feel like an imposter. It makes you feel like you're not living up to expectations that other people want you to live up to. So I think we can feel like imposters, and I think there are kind of these stages that all INTJs go through where you read the descriptions and you feel so understood, and then they paint the INTJ really like glamorously, and you're like, oh my gosh, wow, that's me, I'm awesome. And we go through this, and I see this on Reddit a lot, go through this narcissistic phase where you view yourself really highly, and then over time you realize that you're not living up to the expectation. And I think you dip down to this like insecurity. You're like, I'm worthless. Am I even a true INTJ if I'm not being really successful? And so we went from we're the special ones to like, well, I just don't belong anywhere. Like I'm not useful to anyone. I don't do anything. And then I think there comes a point where you come back maybe up toward the middle, and you realize that we're all kind of special. That we're all kind of special in our own right, and it's not, INTJs don't have a corner on the market on being special, that it really comes down to just who's hardworking and who's willing to take the risk and who's willing to be, you know, more normal, join like the normal part of society. I think Ns can really get stuck in themselves and feeling like not like, wow, we're the special ones, we're rare, and then it causes them to not join society, and then you end up getting weirder and weirder and weirder and weirder and less useful to people. And I think as I'm talking, I'm realizing that's like FI. It's like literally all the feelings that we're feeling. And I do have a video on like Myers Briggs start to finish if you don't know what cognitive functions are. And I have a video on INTJ emotions also. But yeah, I think our FI kind of likes to feel marginalized or kind of likes to feel alien. It's like, it really hurts. It really, really hurts to feel like an alien and like you don't belong anywhere, no one understands you. But at the same time, we're not doing anything about it because we kind of like it and it's serving a purpose for us. It's like the reason that I'm lonely and don't have very many friends is just because I'm so awesome. And that's why. And, you know, saying that just sounds really stupid, but I think that's literally what it is. We like to feel marginalized because it makes us feel more valuable. And I do have a video about how to get out of your comfort zone and to get out of loops, because I really feel like this whole misunderstanding bit just really is kind of the INTJ loop. Because the thing is, when we're so introverted, it's really easy to be prideful and say, I have all these really good skills. But then once you actually get a little extroverted, like me doing this YouTube channel, for example, when I was so introverted, it felt like, oh, I could do a YouTube channel. It'd be so easy. And then you actually step out and do it. You actually get into TE and you be productive. You get in the outside world and you do it. And, you know, I've gotten some difficult feedback. Like, this is really difficult to watch myself on video. I don't communicate in a way that I want to communicate. And so, you know, it's understandable why you would stay in a loop, because you feel more valuable. But then once you actually get in the outside world, you're like, I'm not actually as good at this as I would like to be. And it's kind of some difficult messaging, but that's where growth happens. And so it kind of takes this, like, I'm so special, wow, I'm actually worthless, and then getting toward the middle and saying, you know, we're all normal people. We're all normal people. We all have a capacity to be great at different things, like to be great at YouTube or whatever. And it just comes down to, are you willing to learn? And are you willing to suck at the beginning? Are you willing to hang out with people if it means, you know, that you'll have meaningful relationships? What if I suck at the beginning? You know, it's kind of like a utilitarian perspective, is means to an end. Can you get through the suck to get to the great part? So like I said, I do have a video on like the things that introverts need to hear, and I do also have a video about how to get out of a loop and, you know, basically get out of your comfort zone. And so I think those would be really helpful videos for INTJs to go look at, because introverts and extroverts both have a tendency to stay in their loop, which is their comfort zone, and so it's really beneficial to get out of that. And I also have a video on the mindset of high achievers.